I'm going to talk about environmental toxins, but I'm going to start a lot of these videos just repeating this idea here. Generally speaking, what a healthy diet is for people, this is going to vary on the ratios, is a diet based around whole foods, trying to be organic, which we're going to go into why that is here, and that's actually the main thing. Organic, high quality ingredients, and whole foods. Stuff that's been around for thousands of years, okay? That's the foundation of it. Now, when we talk about environmental toxins, this is a bigger deal than people think, and I hope I will have you convinced by the end of this video. Your liver is like a blood filter, and it's trying to clean your blood. Now, if you think about it, 1,000 years ago, it was there to clear out stuff like poisons and things like that were in the environment. Now we live in a world that has a lot of new chemicals in it. Now, I'm not saying these chemicals are just going to kill you, but if it's foreign, your liver has to go and just get it out of the body, even if it's not like generally harming it. If it's just like dirt, metaphorically, to just clear out of the system, just kind of inert, not really hurting you, it still takes work. So when you step out the door, you're breathing in car exhaust. When you get into a car, you're actually breathing in a ton of chemicals that are part of the process of making and designing all the different fabrics in the car and the plastics in the car and the dash and all those different components. This new car smell. You're actually being exposed to a lot of chemicals. They sit in the lungs. The lungs have this permeable membrane that ends up moving that stuff into the blood, and then the liver has to clear it all out. Okay, and in general, the air itself is quite dirty, even worse in cities. You can see actually a lot of people who live in cities have lungs that are darkened like smokers, very similar. You have brake dust. You have the actual of cars when they break, their little bits of that is just particulates in the air. You have all the rubber. You notice all the rubber coming off of cars' wheels, but you don't see it on the road. It gets aerated and little bits come up, and that stuff we're breathing in. Carpets in indoors. You have shampoos. You have various makeup products. You have the microplastics. I haven't even touched on that. There's a lot of heavy metals from like aluminums and stuff like that, which I don't know if that's considered a heavy metal, but anyways, aluminum is another problematic thing that builds up. Now, here's the thing. All of these things are very small on their own, but your liver has to deal with this. And I have not even brought up food yet. There's over 300 different chemicals that we put in food in America that are illegal to put in food in Europe, because they've been shown to be bad by the Europeans, and they're going, we're not going to touch that yet. Over here, we're a little more concerned with profits, so we kept it in the food, okay? Some of the stuff is actually banned or has warning signs when you go in Europe on stuff like our candy and other things like that. So, this is where this ties in, where it would be relevant to you. Your liver, when it has too much to deal with, your little blood filter, when it has too much to deal with, it will store some of the toxins as fat. It can make it so your toxins are connected to fat molecules, or it can make it so it's connected to water molecules, and when it does it to the water, it helps you flush it out through like the urine and the feces. You can also get rid of it through the sweat too. That's a different process. So there's different ways of clearing out the body. I believe it's like urination, defecation, sweating. I want to say there's one more, but I'm blanking, so we're gonna stick with those three. Sorry. Your liver can actually prevent you from losing weight in this way, even if you're good with the calories and everything, because if it's taking in a lot of this stuff, it's having to stick stuff in the fat, and if you're trying to lose weight, you're actually having to unpack all of that, and it's one reason people get sick while they're trying to lose weight a lot of the time is because they're unraveling all of this packing away of these dangerous toxins. So, this is why it's important to be aware of environmental toxins. Um, to reduce all of this, organic foods are supposed to be made without any of these, so you can reduce a lot of the intake via that. You can get natural shampoos, conditioners, makeups. You can avoid having Teflon pans and try to use a cast iron. You can do getting glassware for your Tupperware. There's a lot of different things you can do to reduce your exposure. You can get a filter even for your house if you fancy, or you're in a particularly bad area where that's necessary. There's a lot of things you can do about this. And narrowing it down, it will, at the very least, reduce the amount of effort your liver has to spend working on this stuff in the background, and gives you more energy and boosts your immune system because you're not having to take on as much. So we are all dealing with livers that actually are working overtime compared to what you'd think of thousands of years ago, before any of the industrial revolution. Actually, like hundreds of years ago, 800 years ago, was a lot less dirty air and all of this stuff. So bear that in mind when looking at food. One final thing to note when it comes to toxins in foods: when getting plants, buying fruit with a peel, things that have a peel, the plant itself pushes the toxins into the peel itself, and so you end up having less toxins in the food. You also can look up the Dirty Dozen, which is online, and it just tracks which plants are typically dealing with the highest concentrations of pesticides. A lot of wheat in the US has a lot of pesticides. It's one reason people have allergic reactions to it here instead of in Europe. You have people go to Italy and they have everything's just fine over there. They have different practices on how they're actually cultivating the plant itself. So bear this all in mind. This is one piece of the puzzle. I know I haven't gotten into the details on like what to eat specifically, but we're going to get in there. So it's another factor to bear in mind. We're going to keep rolling on this.